Well, hi, everyone. Thank you for being here and welcome to tonight's farmer listening session on organic certification hosted by the Northeast Organic Farming Association of New Hampshire. I'm Nikki Kolb, Operations Director at NOFA, New Hampshire. As an organization dedicated to farming and food, we'll begin this meeting by acknowledging and honoring the first stewards of the land we live and work on today. We're broadcasting from the land of the Pennacook tribe, or Nadakina, the Abenaki word for the traditional ancestral homeland of the Abenaki and Wabanaki peoples, past and present. We acknowledge and honor with gratitude the people who have stewarded this land and its waterways through the generations. Thank you. Following our first listening session with the New Hampshire Department of Agriculture, Markets, and Food on August 31st, we heard from farmers that providing an open forum for connection and feedback would be valuable. The purpose of this session is to meet that need by providing a space for organic farmers and members of the organic community to connect with one another on the future of organic certification in the state, to hear from legislators, and to inform both New Hampshire DAMF and any upcoming legislation with farmer feedback. Legislators have heard your concerns and are taking action, and we'll hear more about that soon. We'll be inviting participants to ask questions, join in conversation, and provide feedback on the topic of organic certification in New Hampshire. Please remain muted when you're not speaking and kindly raise your hand in Zoom so we can ensure everyone who wants to has a chance to speak. And the NOFA New Hampshire team will help moderate the discussion. Here's our agenda for the evening. I think Kyle has a slide that he'll put up to share. Thank you. So we have Representative Peter Bixby is here, and he's introducing a bill to increase funding for the organic certification program at New Hampshire DAMF, and he'll provide an overview followed by a Q&A. We'll introduce some key results from our stakeholder survey and host an open forum for farmers to discuss the options for the future of certification. And farmers and community members will have time to provide additional feedback and testimony that will be shared with New Hampshire DAMF. We'll continue to monitor the chat for any questions throughout the meeting and want to make sure we have at least an hour for farmers to provide feedback. So before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone that this session is being recorded. It's important to us to create a space where attendees can connect and speak freely. So we'd like to take a quick poll on how you want the recording to be distributed. And I can just read out those options, Kyle, before we put that up. Oh, great, you have it. Perfect. So the options are, this recording would be for NOFA New Hampshire's internal use only with written notes sent to New Hampshire DAMF. Send New Hampshire DAMF the recording to be viewed, but don't post it publicly. Or send New Hampshire DAMF the recording to be viewed, post it publicly, and distribute it on NOFA's regular channels. So our YouTube, our website, our mailing list, available on social media, and so forth. So looks like folks are taking the poll. Thank you. We have about 90% participation so far in the poll, 93%, just waiting a few more seconds here before we share the results. %100% participated, thank you. Okay, so we have 58%, so over half of you would like the recording to be sent to the Department of Ag and to be able to be viewed publicly. Is that right, Kyle?
Yes, and I'm assuming everyone else can see those results too. You can just shake your head if you can see it. No, can't see them. All right.
Yes, so that third option, 58% of people voted to send the recording to be viewed to New Hampshire Department of Ag, to post it publicly and distribute it on NOFA's channels.
I'm going to hit end poll and see if that now shows you all the results.
Thank you.
Oh, share results. Here you go. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you for bearing with us on that. Okay. So thank you all for answering the poll. This is really helpful. We didn't want to make that decision for anyone on this call. And we have a plan for this. So if you'd like to remain anonymous with your remarks, you're welcome to change your name in Zoom and turn off your video when speaking. So you can still participate, but make yourself anonymous if you'd like to. And we'd ask that you please identify just verbally or in the chat if you're an organic farmer, to help provide context to any of your remarks. And if anyone has additional comments or questions about this, please contact us. It's important to us that organic farmers and NOFA members feel heard in this process. We have a good mix of folks registered for tonight's session, including organic producers, legislators, certifiers, NOFA board and staff members, and organic advocates. Thank you all again for being here. We are here to listen, and we appreciate both your feedback and your time gathering for this session. And now I'd like to turn it over to our board president, Julie Davidson, followed by Representative Peter Bixby. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikki. Hi, I'm Julie. And as Nikki said, we're really grateful that you've all assembled for this meeting, particularly because the Northeast Organic Farming Association of New Hampshire was created by and has been sustained by its membership over the course of 50 years. So we are your association, and your insights, participations, and priorities guide us as we try to achieve the stated goals of promoting life-sustaining organic practices in the Granite State. Right now, we are trying to find the best way to respond to the Department of Agriculture, Marketing, and Foods request to find a solution to their challenges in administering the organic certification program. As an organization that you've all helped create to help represent your interests, we're hoping to hear from you about your perspectives and insights. And from that, we hope to discern what kind of a consensus emerges over the course of the session. We'll also be factoring additional information and viewpoints from people who couldn't attend this or previous meeting and yet have expressed themselves through our statewide survey. The discussion tonight and our capacity will help NOFA clarify and direct future actions of the organization's professional staff and volunteer board, noting we rely on our volunteer and member engagement to expand our capacity and achieve our goals of supporting the organic community. And this dialogue on organic certification with the Department of Marketing and Foods has presented the New Hampshire organic growing and eating community with an opportunity to discuss ways the state can support the growth of organic farming in our state. Some of our NOFA's general aspirations and vision for a positive outcome of these discussions with DAMP would immediately include ensuring New Hampshire certification of organic farms have uninterrupted certification services. I have personal experience from working on a previous farm with that. There's an option for continuing the New Hampshire certification seal, creating a strong New Hampshire organic brand that is actively supported by DAMP, increasing New Hampshire organic sales through education and local market development, and increased support from the state in supporting the growth of organic, both as a climate solution and as a driver of economic development in the state. Yes, so that's what we're hoping and aiming for, and looking forward to hearing from all of you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie. And Representative Bixby, I lost you on my screen, but if you'd like to share the bill that you're putting forth, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Sure. So I just submitted a bill today to, it was a bill that I worked out with Commissioner Jasper and the director of the Regulatory Services Branch, Alan Wyman, to create one full-time and one part-time position in the department that are dedicated to certifying organic. Right now, the situation is that there none of the positions in the department are actually labeled as being connected to the organic program, and the staff is just essentially shuffled there in order to meet the need, and that's creating problems with the other duties that those folks are supposed to do that are currently doing it. So what this will do is it will create a position and a half that are dedicated to the organic certification program, and that should allow for better long-term stable funding of those positions, as long as we can get the bill to pass. The other thing that the bill does is it provides the transportation and computer resources for those two new positions, so that they'll be able to do the travel to their inspection site. They'll be able they'll have the resources to to do all of the various pieces of paperwork and organization, et cetera, that go along with the certification process. So I am hopeful that the bill will pass, but that's always one can never say it's passed until it gets a governor's signature. One of the things that's going to make a really big difference in terms of whether the bill succeeds or not is a very strong base of support from the organic community, and particularly from people who are getting their certification through DAMF right now, or who may in fact want to, if you're getting certified somewhere else, switch to your certification to DAMF, or as new farmers come into the area, recruiting them to be certified by the department. The current number of people being certified is in the mid-60s, and that is on the low side for certification agencies. So in order to really in order to get strong support from the department saying that this is a program that they can really continue, we need to keep that participation rate at least that high. And one of the things that I'm a little bit worried about is that if we don't have a strong sense of support, and it looks like we might drop to 30 people being certified by the department, then we would lose the support of the department, and they would say that that's not enough for them to run a program for. So we really need to keep the numbers up. So another aspect of this is the department, basically due to a misunderstanding of the way the statute was written, hasn't changed the fees in about 20 years. And that leaves us with a fee structure that doesn't really provide enough support for the department to continue that way. So and we figured out, in fact, that the department does have the authority right now to change the fee structure. The department will be working on revising the fee structure in the next several months, and it will end up looking much more like the fee structure for our neighboring states, certifying organizations like MOFGA or Vermont NOFA. So those rules will be written up in the next few months, and then they need to go before a joint legislative committee that approves administrative rules, and at that point, those would become the new fees. So you can expect that if you're currently being certified, you can expect that your fees will rise to a level similar to what the fees are at MOFGA. And one thing that will do is it will it won't provide all of the money that the department needs in order to run the program, but it will provide a reasonable fraction of it. And the fact that that fee income will be coming in will make it easier to convince the more fiscally conservative legislators that it is in fact still worth putting in the extra money, because there is money coming in through fees. Another aspect of convincing people that it's worth the money is really advocating over the next few months, showing why organic certification is not just a benefit for the person, for the farm that's certified. It's a benefit for the entire community around that farm, in terms of the business connections that farms have in their communities, in terms of the open space it provides, and in terms of, you know, all of the other benefits that we know come along with organic. Those need to be, you need to make sure that your legislators are aware that that the New Hampshire's organic farms are providing these benefits, and that will also help with the passage of the bill. So that's pretty much what it looks like on the legislative end. Just in terms of the schedule, the bill is in the process of initial drafting right now. It will become what's called an LSR, and which is not a publicly viewable document. At some point later this fall, it will be published as a bill early in January, and then there'll be a hearing on it, probably in the I'd say somewhere between the second and fourth week of January. And when I will alert NOFA when that hearing is likely to be coming up, and it would be good to get a good representation of people at that hearing. The next step after the hearing is that my committee will vote on it. I feel fairly confident that we will vote to recommend it ought to pass. Then it would go to the House floor and get a vote, and I'm hoping that the whole House would vote positively on it at that point. Because it has an appropriation attached to it, it then goes to the fiscal committee, which needs to, and they weigh in, recommending whether it ought to pass or not. That's one place where we're going to need once again, a lot of support from people saying we really need this. And after the fiscal committee passes it, it goes back to the House floor, hopefully passes again, and then goes over to the Senate. And then that whole cycle happens on the Senate side. So it's a fairly involved process. We will finally find out whether the bill has passed and been signed by the governor, probably at some point in next somewhere between next June and next August. But throughout that process, we need to make sure that the organic community is really supporting its passage, so that we can keep certification in the Department of Agriculture in New Hampshire and not have people sort of fending for themselves among other certifiers. And I am happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Representative Bixby. And I know that we might have to massage the agenda a little bit. So if folks have immediate questions that you'd like to ask, we'd love for you to do that. And then we can share some of the results so far from the stakeholder survey and go into more time for you all to connect with each other and yeah, have any more feedback. So Sarah, I see that you raised your hand first. If you want to go ahead, people can just go in the order that your hands are raised.
Thanks. Thanks, Representative Bixby. I was just wondering how you recommend, or what's the most effective way for us to show support to our legislators?
Right. So emails are one method. It has to be an email that is from you. So mass emails don't work very well. A personal email from you where you're talking about your own personal perspective, how this is affecting your business, is much more effective. Phone calls are also effective, and so those are the two that I find the best routes of communication. Letters used to be more effective. I find that the paper makes it harder to give a response. So I'd say that email is probably the best. Make sure when you send an email that you have a very clear subject line, and also that you include your name your town, and if you're a farmer, what your farm is, and include in your in what you're saying how this affects you and your community as an individual, and as opposed to speaking in generalities.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dan, if you wanted to speak next, you're next.
Thank you very much. Peter, I think you've got a great start on this thing. I think it's the community that we need to get involved. When you people go to the farmers markets, when you go to your stores, wherever you sell your products, let them know that we're about to lose our certification in New Hampshire, and get them to communicate with their legislators. We have to make this a whole big blast, not just the 60 of us that are farmers, because it's the community that we're working for, and the legislature wants to represent the community as a whole. So I would push that, and I would also push the fact that what is New Hampshire? If it doesn't have its farmers, we're just like some of these other states. We're urbanized, and I think that message can go across, and however you want to get it to your legislator, that's the best thing that you can do. And I'll take any questions as well.
Thank you. Jill and Tim, did you want to go next?
Yes, hi. Thank you, Representative Bixby, for moving forward with this bill. Question though is the other scopes of the organic certification program, the processor, the handler, the livestock. We lost a lot of organic farms because of the DAMF dropped those scopes. It seems to me if we can bring those back to DAMF, it'll increase the number of farmers that we can certify here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, it would be, I would like to say that that would be a possibility, but one of the issues with particularly with the livestock and with the handling, the USDA has been increasing their requirements for certifiers in terms of how many staff people certifiers need in order per operation, and other aspects of certification infrastructure. And it's they're demanding a much heavier administrative load for the meat program and for the processing and handling program than they are for the crop program. So at this point, the department is not looking at restarting those because it would be just too heavy a lift at this point. But the department really wants to be able to keep doing the crop certification, and that's going to depend on making sure participation rates stay up. But thank you, and I wish that I could say the answer was yes, we could do that, but unfortunately it's not currently practical.
Thank you. And Sarah and Sam, do you want to go next? And then we have Dan again.
Thank you, Representative Bixby, for all your work on this, getting this bill together. I know this was like a quick turnaround time. I just wanted to let everybody know, well, yeah, in response to Sarah's question about the best way to let our representatives know. Your response that we started a petition right after the last NOFA conference that's gotten nearly 900 signatures from farmers, stakeholders, advocates, organic customers. So there is broad support for this bill. So I really appreciate what you're doing. And for those who haven't seen it, I'll put a link in the chat if you want to sign it. And if that's of any use, like obviously all of the direct support to our representatives and senators, but this can also be a tool for, just general organizing of support. Sorry, my microphone is awful. There's a petition. Hold on. Yeah, good, better. Yeah.
Yeah, that was better.
Okay, perfect. We have a petition going that has been signed by nearly 900 people. I'll put a link in the chat. Farmers, customers, stakeholders, all these people. So I think we have a broad support for this bill, so I hope we can all show up when it comes time to, make our voices known. I think that we're on the right track here.
Thank you for doing that, and do bring that petition to to my committee, Environment and Agriculture. Well, I'm assuming that it's going to be assigned to my committee, but bring that to the committee when the hearing happens, and then and maybe some number of the people who you have on that could sign up to speak and in support and give different angles on how it affects them.
Thank you. Dan, if you want to respond quickly again, and then I think
Yep.
we want to make sure that the people who haven't talked yet can both speak.
Thank you for an opportunity. The couple that talked about getting the producers back in, I would not say it's a lost cause, because if we show support all the way through, it would make a lot of help. I now have to go. I'm certified out of MOFGA for my hens, but I still get certified in New Hampshire for my land. And you have to be certified with the land if you're going to have certified hens. So I'm doing both. I'm giving the state some money and I'm giving Maine some money.
Thank you. Sarah, did you want to go next?
Hi, thanks so much for putting this together. Peter, thank you for your work on this. I'm kind of speaking to the same issue, even though I know we're saying it's off the table, but that processing certification has been a real deal for our farm because we are starting to do value added flour and cornmeal, which means that we had to, at the time when we had a new product that we were really working to do a New Hampshire grown product, we had to switch to a other state certification label. And that's great. I mean, I love, what MOFGA offers, but I really think like when you're working with the customer and the consumer to be able to say this is New Hampshire certified and New Hampshire grown, like just all of that goes together in a way that conveys something different. And it's just a part of it that I don't want to lose along the way, even if we can get back to the crops. I think that processing and handling is a big deal.
Yeah, I agree, and what I'd like to see is, if we succeed with this, then there might be an avenue down the line to move to see if we can sort of push for getting the processing and handling back and the animal agriculture back, but that's not something that will be for the next go around. It's not, we had to win on this go around first before we can try to get back to that position.
Thank you. This is really helpful. And Abby and John, did you want to go next? And then James? Oh, yeah, unmute, please.
Yeah, I just kind of want to touch base with what Sarah just mentioned in terms of like, we have a layer flock that we would love to certify, but currently cannot certify through the state of New Hampshire. So then it's a little complicated of like doing dual certifications with another certifier and still doing crops, or do we just simplify it by going through one certifier on another state or privatized, or do we not certify our layers? Like I think that's a dilemma that we face for what to do, and that's also a dilemma that a lot of other farms probably face. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. James and then Kate.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? Great. So I guess my question was, in the event that the legislative process fails, or in the event that the DAMF loses employees before the process plays out, do you recommend that perhaps petitioning the governor and pushing for an executive order would be a more immediate way to resolve this issue?
No.
I don't think that the governor really has the power to do to intercede in this particular. And I don't know that he has the power to do it, and I am and I suspect that he would not necessarily be willing to do it, which is a somewhat different question. But this is something that governors will typically let the legislative process follow through. And if the legislative process fails to do something, then they tend to be unwilling to reverse that. So I don't think that going to the governor for this is, while it's in the process, is actually is a good route. But certainly making him aware of this issue as something that when it comes to his desk he should sign it, that is really important. In terms of what happens if it fails, there were two other options that were on the flyer. There's the just going to other certifiers, and that's something that DAMF and NOFA New Hampshire would try to assist people with. The other possibility that was listed, which takes a more upfront organization, I'm not sure that it would be possible to do this immediately, would be to see if we could get a satellite certification office for one of the other certifiers in the area that would do things in New Hampshire. But I think that until it sounds like there's a very strong desire to have DAMF continue to do the certifications, and I think we really need to push as hard as we can for that option.
Thank you. And we're going to talk more about that after we're done with this Q&A period to share more about the survey results and what folks have wanted so far. And we can take any other questions also about the satellite office. But we want to make sure that you all have a chance to talk more too. So Kate, please go ahead with your question. And then if there's no more questions, we can proceed with the next section.
Hi, thank you. I guess my question, I have so many questions, but I'm going to start with two. One is, Peter or others, do you have a sense whether the Department of Ag can hang in there until next summer? Like, will they choose to continue through the next cycle of crop certifications in the spring? And then the second question is, how do we if so, hopefully, how do we encourage those 66 farms to continue to use the Department of Agriculture in March when our next cycle of certification applications are due? Because I agree that it's really important that we keep the certified number of farms up to prove the value of this program.
So for the first question, I think that the department is really committed to making things continue to work, and there is no indication that the people who are currently qualified certifiers in the department are planning on leaving within the year. So I think that we're probably safe for the coming year. I think that having this bill in process will also provide a sort of a confidence within the department that there is there is support for them continuing to do it, and that will sort of feed the process in a good way. In terms of making, getting people to continue to have their certification through the department, that's something that I think is certainly the department will continue to be as open and accessible as they have been, but I think it's also a matter of really making sure that the organic community in New Hampshire shows strong support for the department continuing to do this, and so it's something where I think the community is a really valuable player in this, and that the more that community cohesiveness can come together and encourage people to continue with their certifications in New Hampshire, and perhaps even draw more people into the fold, the better things will look.
Thank you. Dan, did you have another comment to add before we go to some of the survey results?
I don't know who the gentleman was that spoke about the producers, but if you can afford the extra, and it's actually less money to be certifying your crops in New Hampshire than you certify your poultry in with Maine or something like that, at least we're keeping some people within the department. And the more support that we can show the department of people that are interested in spending the funds to stay organic here in New Hampshire will, I think, push them along. They worked with us last year. It was a short window when we had to go to Maine or wherever when they stopped certifying the producers of eggs. But I think that there's a way to do it by keeping, as Peter said, and I'm in the legislature, I'll work it as well with seeing our constituents all over the place, whenever, wherever.
Thank you. This has been really helpful. And I just want to add to Dan's point too, that NOFA is happy to point any farmers to the organic cost share program that's administered through FSA in the state. So if you did want to do any type of arrangement like that, there's some options to get some costs back. So we have another section here that we wanted to go through and then continue with your engagement together. Thank you all for these really great questions, and to our legislators for helping with providing the answers. We understand that farmers would like to know if there's consensus on which organic certification option most wanted to see moved forward. And so as a brief review, New Hampshire DAMP alerted NOFA New Hampshire to their concerns with their ability to continue serving New Hampshire's organic farming community as an accredited certifying agent or an ACA for the NOP. And we're collaborating to bring this issue to the organic community with the goal of working together to develop solutions and ensure continued uninterrupted certification services for New Hampshire's organic farmers. And in the joint statement that we distributed, as well as what was discussed at the previous listening session, we outlined some possible scenarios, which Peter explained as well. And they are: New Hampshire DAMP continues to serve New Hampshire farmers as an ACA with increased legislative and state funding support, increased certification fees, and restructuring of the Division of Regulatory Services. The second option is New Hampshire DAMP discontinues certification and collaborates with NOFA New Hampshire and the NOP to assist farmers with transfer to other ACAs. And the third option is New Hampshire DAMP discontinues certification and NOFA New Hampshire assists a regionally based ACA to certify New Hampshire organic farmers by opening a satellite office in New Hampshire. So we're investigating that as well, just as we're continuing through this conversation. We distributed a survey to better understand which of these options producers prefer And we're gonna ask you to submit your responses in a poll tonight for organic farmers who are on the call. And Kyle, I don't know if you put up the slide yet, if you could put the slide up with the survey results, that would be helpful. So we have 41 responses to the survey to date, 25 respondents identified as certified organic farmers, and 23 are certified by the department. We asked folks to rank those 3 options that I just mentioned for the future of organic certification in New Hampshire. And the results are that 84% of certified organic farmers wanted DAMP to continue organic certification services as their first choice. Then 84% of certified organic farmers supported NOFA New Hampshire working to open a satellite office for certification services as their second choice. And the third choice, 84% of certified organic farmer respondents supported transferring to another ACA. So that was like the least desirable option. In addition, 88% of certified organic farmers respondents said yes to New Hampshire DAMP continuing certification services, even if it means fees are raised and additional funding is needed from the state. So this data gathered so far shows that the majority of organic farmers who responded to the survey want certification to stay at the department. And that survey is remaining open. If you haven't replied to it yet, it's open through today. So please do fill that out, and we'll put that into the chat so you have the link. And based on what was presented so far, we wanted to just put out a quick poll on your preferences for organic certification services in New Hampshire. And we're asking, please, for the certified organic farmers who are here to respond to the poll, since these are the stakeholders who will be immediately impacted by any changes. So if you're a certified organic farmer, please respond to this poll that Kyle has just put up. Thank you.
Leave it open for like 30 more seconds. I don't know how many on this call that give us 100%. So just a few more moments. And Jim, to answer your question about 84%, it was in the survey, everyone ranked their first choice, and that was about, it just moved down the line. So the 84 that said this was their first choice, that 84% said this is my number one. And then pretty much exact, that same group said this was my second choice. So that's why you see 84%.
Yes.
So.
Thank you for explaining that. And yes, multiple of us checked that data to make sure we were presenting.
Yes,
everything.
and there were a few, I think about 16%, about 4 of the individuals that said, you know, I think option 2 for most people was sort of their option 1. So, all right, I will end this poll. Last chance. All right.
Okay, can you share it?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Okay, so the majority of you have said again today that you would like New Hampshire DAMP to continue as the certifier. So this is something that we heard from farmers that folks wanted to determine amongst yourselves. So this is really helpful. Your perspectives and time are really important to us, and we have about 45 or so minutes left together, and we want to open it back up again for dialogue for all of you to share any additional feedback on organic certification in New Hampshire based on this data, as well as any other thoughts or comments that you have. We'd like to make sure everyone who wants to has a chance to speak, and kindly ask that any general comments just be kept succinct so we can give space to each other, and we can help moderate as needed. And I'd like to turn it over to Sam Bauer from Kearsarge Gore Farm to kick off some remarks for this section. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for organizing all of this and taking the time and the energy. I know that NOFA is working on a lot of different projects, and this is just another thing that you guys have found on your plate. And it really has been a fantastic resource for me as a farmer, wondering how to connect with other farmers and talk about this and what's going on, and to be able to reach out to NOFA and I called maybe 7 days ago, and here we are, and NOFA's got a great little program here for us. So I really appreciate what you guys do. When I think about why I feel the certifying program should stay with the state, one reason is just this meeting tonight. I think that it's important for us to have farms and certified organic farms be part of the conversation that folks are having in the state of New Hampshire. And if the state weren't certifying our farms, there would be no reason for legislators and state representatives and certified organic farms to sit down in the same room together and talk about what farms do for our community, besides the obvious things like supplying healthy food for the residents of the state to consume. And there's so much going on when you think about, it seems like there's a crisis everywhere you look. There's an opioid epidemic, there's an obesity crisis, there's a climate crisis, mental health crisis all across the state. And when I think about organic farming and how, as farmers, we message to the legislators, why is it important for you to fund this program? For me, it's the fabric between those things where farms find themselves. And if you ask mental health professionals, it's a safer, healthier place to have a mental health crisis in the potato field than on Concord Main Street. It's part of our plan for addressing climate change has to center around how we perform our agriculture. We had the COVID-19 pandemic, and in a few short months, the shelves at Market Basket were bare. There was no meat, there was limited fruit and vegetable supply. And if New Hampshire wants to be a resilient and a safe and a proud state, then we need to have diversified farms that can help feed the people of New Hampshire when crises occur, because they will occur, and they are currently happening all around us. And so my pitch, I'm excited for the next few months to try to find out how we connect with leading state health professionals that can help our cause by talking about the bacteria in our guts and our natural biome around our bodies, and excited about reaching out to consumer advocacy groups to say, this is for the consumer. With a state of New Hampshire seal on this product, we know that we're consuming healthy food. And so just as the months go on and as we try to garner support, I think it's some of these things, let alone the economic benefits and things of that nature, but some of the unseen things that farms are doing for our community. A few things that come to mind are just parents and families struggling to find childcare for their toddlers and their preschool kids. There's no better environment than farms and open spaces and places where people can practice their art. And as the state continues its push with the STEAM education program, farmers need, again, in conjunction with state efforts that are already happening, farmers need scientists, engineers, mathematicians. We have places for people to perform their art. And it's these type of things that farms can supply to our community. And it's fun. I mean, we've worked with students from Colby Sawyer College and Dartmouth College and UNH, and when people come to the farm and they practice these skills, they leave with experiences and they take them out, and it's really a wonderful thing. So I'm looking forward to the next few months. And again, with the help of a few others, we started the petition, which I think Sarah posted in the chat there. And it is quite simply stating that we think that the certifying agency belongs with the state of New Hampshire. And we realize that it will take extra resources and extra work on our part to keep the program going. But I'm hopeful, and I'm looking forward to working with a bunch of fellow farmers and with NOFA and with everybody who's excited about this to try to find the support we need to make sure we can keep this program going. So I think this is a farmer time for farmers to say things, I think. So I guess just whoever's next, go for it.
Thank you, Sam and Sarah. And I want to thank you again for all your help with orchestrating and bringing this session up for us to hold for the community. Thank you so much. And Ben and David, you want to go next?
Hey, yeah. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Sam and Sarah. Thanks to the representatives and senators on this call. From Green Hill Farm, my mom, Kate, is also on this call. And yeah, it's just been one thing after another this summer, and this is kind of like the cherry on top to, have to face another challenge. Well, I think that the organic program, we've been part of it since 2005, and I just can't even see ourselves certifying with another agency. We obviously would look into it if we had to, but I think the state has, if we lose this program, we lose kind of this whole community, everyone on this call. We'd all be with different certifiers. It seems, 66 members may seem small, but at this point in time, 66 members seems large to me. And that's a lot of farms, and this affects each one of them. So I think, like Sam said, if we lose this program, the legislatures and the houses of rep won't be talking about organic at all. And it's very likely we'd never see that come back again. And organic, especially certified organic, I know there was a comment in the chat earlier about supporting non-certified farms as well, but it's the only thing that really, in my book, guarantees to an extent that there isn't, prohibitive substances or harmful materials being applied to food that you're going to eat. We're also a real organic project certified farm. So if we lose our USDA certified organic, we wouldn't be allowed to be part of the real organic project either. If folks don't know about that, I suggest looking into it. If you're already certified, it's another step up, and kind of keeps organic in the soil. So a lot of the hydroponics aren't allowed, those operations aren't allowed to be real organic. But back to my point, it's really it's a great way for New Hampshire organic farms to brand themselves with other facets of New Hampshire made products. I know New Hampshire made is its own thing, but the state just having the certification makes it less confusing for the consumer, less crazy for the farmer, and it keeps the program close to home and just seems like the right thing to do. So those are some of the concerns I've had, and I'll turn it over to whoever's next. Thank you.
Am I next?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. David Miller. Myself and my wife Kathleen Jacobs were the owners and operators of Grounding Stone Blueberry Farm, and I'm very, I guess I should say, humbled, because we have only been in this business since 2017. So we're still, I would say, new to farming. But since we started, we came into this farm that had been running as a certified organic farm since the early 2000s, maybe as early as the program has been around, I don't know. But I would say that it just became part of what we did every year to ensure that we were producing products that were a product, I should say, because all we produce is blueberries, that met a criteria that I think is, you know, when you say certified, it means that it is truly qualified to be sold as an organic product to the community. And I will honestly say that, you know, I've pretty much lived my entire life in New Hampshire. And I can't remember who it was. I think Sam was saying earlier, you know, it's a New Hampshire thing. It's you know, I'm proud to live in New Hampshire and be able to own and operate a farm in New Hampshire. And yeah, to go to a different agency to get certified, it just doesn't feel right. You know, I feel like there's, you know, without sounding boastful, I feel as though certified farmers in New Hampshire have a certain clout, if you will, or a status. And, you know, I take nothing away from any other certified agency, certifying agency, but you know, New Hampshire has a real pride, and I'm proud to, again, be a farmer in New Hampshire. And I guess I would also say that I'm not opposed to working with another agency. I like the idea, you know, if the state can no longer support the certifying agency, to work with an organization like NOFA to continue to be able to be certified, or, you know, state myself as a certified organic producer. So I just wanted to kind of put in my 2 cents. And I also want to say I'm really happy to see a lot of the people out there who have been to the farm, and who I also work with our blueberries. So anyway, hi everybody.
Thank you so much. And if everyone just wants to go in order of the hands raised, that would be wonderful.
I love you, brother. Hey everybody. Thank you everyone for showing up and showing so much enthusiasm and passion for this project. My name is Pierre. I work, I'm the manager of Sweet Bee Farm, and we are a part of the Kearsarge Food Hub, which is a nonprofit. We do a lot of educational work, and organic farming is a foundational and core value of what we are teaching kids. And it is definitely part of what we see is integral to the state's health and success in the long run. So this is primordial to what we do as a food hub and as a farm. And as everyone has noted, how strongly this brings a community of farmers together. So I want to echo what all the farmers have so far said. Sam, Sarah, Ben, you guys are spot on. This is like, this is for the health of our state and for a healthy, bright future. So I hope we can keep showing that enthusiasm, and I'll be here along the way to help this keep going. So thank you, and let's keep going.
Thank you. Go ahead, Donna.
Can you hear me? I've got a little funky setup. Can you hear me?
We can, maybe if you wanted to speak a
Okay.
little louder or put that mic a little closer. Yep.
Sorry. And I'm sorry I'm late. We had a sheep issue that kind of derailed everything. I'm coming at this from a really broad perspective and a long history of being affiliated with organic farming and all kinds of, pseudo alternative farming, whatever. And I feel that it's really important that the state of New Hampshire support organic certification and organic farming simply from the standpoint of supporting this entire state agriculturally and feeding the people of New Hampshire, because in 1980 I worked on something called, food sustainability for the Northeast. I mean, this is a long time ago, and we're still not food secure in the Northeast. And so I really want the state of New Hampshire, the Department of Agriculture, to step up and fund not, all of these coalitions and NOFA. They rely on everybody else to support the work that they should be doing. And I think that the state and the people of New Hampshire are willing to support agriculture in this state if they know what's going on. So I primarily really want to see the state continue to support organic certification. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. And thank you, Kyle, for sharing in the chat how people can raise your hand. If anyone's having an issue with that, just please chat to me or Kyle, and we'll make sure that you can get into the rotation. And Kate, if you want to go next.
Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity to bring us all together. This has been really helpful. I think what's on my mind now is that I definitely strongly support the department continuing to do the certifications, but I'm just thinking about contingency planning and wondering about, NOFA's potential role in helping us be preparing for the possibility that they won't continue, the state won't continue to do this program. What if this bill doesn't pass? If, and for me, I think, the growth of organic in our state is what's really on my mind for the long term, and bringing back the certifications for the livestock and the processors, I think is really critical. And we're trying to save a certification program and preserve this important service that we all value right now. And that's, I want to keep focusing on that, but I'm also thinking about whether the state is really going to be our ally and going to be a good partner in helping us expand organic in the state. And I hope so, but I definitely feel very concerned about, the future of the program, whether this bill passes or not. And that's why I think NOFA's role here is so important. And I'm so grateful for NOFA New Hampshire bringing us together and being an important, serving the function of creating a voice for us and creating opportunities for us to really think this through. So I'm just thinking about like parallel conversations we probably need to be having about the longer term, and contingency planning and just thinking about having way more than 66 farms being certified. And that a New Hampshire label is really, really important. But for me in the long term, I think the New Hampshire label is more important to me than who actually provides the certification service. And not that I disagree with anything anyone said, I really want the state to continue to value agriculture, value organic, and continue to play that role. But I'm just worried about what happens if they don't.
Thank you, Kate. And I know we have some more hands up, and then we had a question in the chat too that we'll address also, but Jean and David and James, if you'd like to speak, please go ahead.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for being here. It's very interesting to hear everything going on tonight. I posted a pretty lengthy text in the chat. I don't know how many people read it. But I just like to let people know that there are a ton of farmers in this state that grow to the organic standards that are not USDA certified for one reason or another. In our case, it's because who we sell to don't necessarily require it. Now, that doesn't mean we dishonor the standards, not at all. We grow to them and have for 14 years. We're a CSA farm that sells directly to consumers, okay? I would suggest that NOFA New Hampshire, if it wanted to expand its community, would reach out to these farms, because I know a ton of them, okay? And it would behoove the organic community in this state, regardless of whether or not they choose to be certified through the USDA, to do this. It would enhance the whole operation of the farming community in the state. There are a lot of people, I know a lot of farms around here that could easily, including ours, be certified organic, but they choose not to be because the people who they sell to don't require it. Why do you want to go through all that paperwork and that time and that effort and that money? Believe me, there's a lot of farms in that category, okay? So that's my number one point, is we need to expand our myopic vision of whether or not you're certified organic or not, whether you're in this little club or not. You'll be able to expand the community and that you are trying to reach, because there's a lot of farmers out there. They don't need the certification, but they honor it. Please, I've said this over and over and over again at different NOFA New Hampshire meetings, and it just seems to fall on deaf ears. I don't know what else to do. It's very frustrating for me, okay? But I'm offering a suggestion. Please open your minds a little bit. Please expand your horizons. There's a lot more of us out there. It's not just this, and everyone who's certified through the USDA, that's great. And the bill that Peter Bixby is proposing is great. Nothing wrong with that. And our farm, we may choose to be certified organic through the USDA in the future, but we don't need it right now, even though we honor the standards and have grown to them for 14 years. Please don't exclude us, okay? Because I feel excluded in this conversation tonight, truthfully, even though I've worked my butt off for 14 years developing a really great farm. And if anyone wants to come out and see our farm, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Julie, I didn't know if you want to say anything because you unmuted, but okay. All right, thank you. And Dave, did you want to say something? Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for putting this meeting together. It's been really great to see everybody, so many familiar and friendly faces. And I really appreciate all the work NOFA's done and all the farmers are doing to put this together. And also the legislators who are getting right to work on getting a bill together. So I have something a little different to offer, which is just some history. I was a member of the NOFA board back in the mid-1980s. And it was one of the first year that we had certification in the state, which was 1987. I was certified and have been ever since then. The way the program worked back then was that NOFA actually helped write the statute, and which says that the Department of Agriculture may have a certification program, but NOFA offered certification for the first 2 years. So basically the NOFA board sat around the table and certified essentially each other plus a few other farms. And one night there was a person from the NHDA who was coming to our meetings. Her name was Vicki Smith, and she said, "What would you all think if we took over the program?" And we said yes, because we knew that it was going to be hard for us to do it, to get the credibility and to grow the program. And the state said that they would be committed to providing the resources to make the program grow. And the commissioner at that time was Steve Taylor. He was very enthusiastic. He provided Vicki, also Mr. Uncles, who was the head of regulatory services. Steve Taylor went out and toured a lot of organic farms. He came out to my farm one day a long, long time ago. Even though we had a small number of farms, the state put resources into it because they were committed. They saw the value of organic farms. They could see that organic farms were going to be part of the wave of the future. It was a very small percentage then. Now it's like, what, 15% of produce in the country is organic. So the state asked for this program, and NOFA New Hampshire made the decision to give it up to the state. And I think the state said, we will make a commitment to you. And Commissioner Merrill was also very supportive. So I think it's our job now to not give up. A lot of people worked hard to build this program up, and I think we should keep working hard. We should fight for it. And I appreciate what Representative Bixby said. This is step one, to keep the crop program alive, and then next try and bring back the livestock and the dairy programs and the processors and the handlers, so that farms that do some of each don't have to have two different certifiers. But I also wanted to say to Jean, who was a good friend of mine, I totally understand where you're coming from and don't want you to feel left out. And I think that in this new world, if NHDA does the certifying, NOFA New Hampshire can be that agency that helps bring the community together. You have the people who are already farming organically, like Jean. Let's bring them into it. And then you've got non-organic farmers who are wanting to join it. And I know NOFA has the top program. So we're going to be having a whole new pool of potential farms that could be joining. So that 66 could easily get back up to 100 if we can get 34 transitional farms. So I guess that's kind of what I want to say, is that we have a long history in the state. I think if you till the New Hampshire soil, you should have a New Hampshire certifier. And I think this is too important to give up. We worked hard to get this program. We have a really great program, and let's keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Jean, for your comments. And I want to share more about TOP as well, but after we hear from James and anyone who wants to talk next, James and Sayer.
Yeah, thanks. Again, thanks for hosting this meeting. And David, thank you for giving us a history lesson about how the organic program started in the state of New Hampshire. And yeah, it just seems like it's so honorable that the state stepped in at the time and created that opportunity to help the organic program grow and turn into what it has become. And that really was such an amazing, great thing for the state to do, and to be able to provide that that valuable service to all of our organic farmers in the state is just such a great act that they did. And it is sad to be having this conversation now, and it's difficult, and it definitely generates a lot of anxiety, I think, for all of us. And I just wanted to say that I'm so proud that we're all here and we're all talking and we're organizing. And I really do think that we're going to have to hunker down, and we're really going to have to show up to all the committee hearings, and we're really going to have to do all this stuff. We're going to have to write.
I lost you for a minute, James. Yeah, it looks like other people too. If you could repeat.
May not be able to. He's
There we
you're currently unmuted and we can't hear you, so you might just be having a mic problems. So
Okay.
Can you hear me now, or?
Oh, yes, we can. Go for it.
Okay, where'd you guys lose me? I don't know where.
You were telling us all to show up, and we're gonna have to show up and really.
Oh yeah,
hunker
yeah.
down.
So we all need to hunker down, and we need to really dig in and get ready for this legislative sort of. I don't want to call it a fight, but it's gonna feel like a battle, and we're gonna have to show up to all the committee hearings. We're gonna have to go to the public hearings. We're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to try to get as many people as we can to go, because it really does make a difference, and it really does have an impact on the various committees and the various people voting in those committees. And so I just hope that we can all stay organized and really come together as a community and really try to advocate for ourselves in the most effective way possible. And I'm really happy NOFA is taking the lead, and I actually found out about I knew I should have known about this meeting, but I actually got a call from somebody from NOFA, and they told me I should sign up, and that was awesome. So thank you for doing that. And yeah, just great to be here, and I hope that we can get a good result and end result out of this, and keep the program going. And it would be really tragic to lose it. So.
Thank you, James. And Sarah, if you'd like to go next, and then Joan.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see you and hear your voices, and I'm really appreciative for what all you have to say. I have had the chance, because most of my sales are direct sales, to speak to a lot of my customers, and nobody had heard about this or knew about it. And I think that in advocating for our farms and ourselves in the future of organic in New Hampshire, that we really need to be speaking to our customers and letting them know what's happening, and trying to get this in the news in New Hampshire, and just making sure that it's not something that's swept under the rug. Because yes, we can advocate for ourselves, but I think it's going to be even stronger if we have our customer base, wholesale and direct sales, they're with us at all of these meetings and at things like this. So if you could reach out to your customers, tell them what's happening, have direct conversations with them, tell them how they can help, have them write letters, have them make phone calls, that would be really awesome, I think, and be really good for our cause. So thanks for putting this together.
Thank you so much. Joan?
Sure. I had a personal experience with the legislature. I had a winter farmers market, and my beer, wine, and mead vendors could not open bottles and sample, but the other states it was legal. So I approached my senator and my representative, and I want to let you know, though, it took 18 months. And this was a bipartisan bill, because Republicans and Democrats drink alcohol. So be ready to show up for the hearings that bounce between the House committees and the Senate committees. You'll get a few days warning to show up to testify, but it's a good learning experience to be part of this process. And I can see a few of us walking into these hearings with baskets of fresh fruits and vegetables. And this is a good public relations opportunity for a way for us to reach the public about organic foods in the state and about all of our farmers like Jean. So jump into this process. It's amazing. It's your state house, and it leads to other bills. If you see something else going out there, put a bill in. They love the citizens putting in these things, and not the politicians doing it all the time. And keep in mind, Sean Jasper was the Speaker of the House in the legislature. He knows this political game, and he better fight for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. And I just wanted to answer some of the questions that were in the chat and some of the comments. So there was a question for Senator Innes that I think we should try to come back to. I'll have to go find it, but there was another question about inspection services. And Joyce, if you want to touch in at all about this too from our board, that would be helpful. But NOFA New Hampshire is really proud to be part of the Transition to Organic Partnership Program that I think Dave brought up earlier as well. And this is a USDA 5-year program to help transition more farms to organic, but also to create more community networking opportunities to strengthen the organic community throughout the US. So that includes certified organic farms, as well as farms that are like genes. So we are working really proudly with, I think we have 12 like cohort partners in New Hampshire of other agricultural organizations who we're working with on this program to create many events over the next year and beyond that will bring in farmers from many different cross sections to increase and strengthen this community in New Hampshire. And I think it's a great opportunity beyond this conversation, but just in general to strengthen our group. And Joyce, if you wanted to answer more about the inspector conversation.
Yeah, are you talking about like the training of inspectors and
I think Ben had a
certification staff?
question.
Right, I think the USDA has implemented more stringent educational and training requirements for certification staff, which include the initial reviewer people that do the applications reviews, and then the inspectors, and then the people that make the decisions. We're actually involved with Vermont Technical College or Vermont State University now in Randolph Center. That is providing a provisional like introductory training course for inspectors and certification staff. I think it's October 17th of this year. And it's a 4-day, I think it costs about $300 for the 2 days. And then there's a livestock training for 2 days. But typically the rest of the training would come from an organization called the International Organic Inspectors Association. That does most of the training. That is not like a state program. A lot of times might have its own training program or not much of a training program is what I kind of suspect. So it's just that the training requirements and educational experience, they've increased it to 2,000 hours of experience to be an inspector for crops or for livestock or for processing. And those are the individual things. So, you know, it's part of their strengthening organic enforcement program that they have been implementing this last year and is going to be needing to be implemented by March of 2024. So you'll see some new things in your application this next year. I mean, I know that, for instance, farmers are being requested to fill out a fraud prevention form. So as part of their strengthening organic enforcement. So, you know, in terms of a training and thing, I think it's a kind of thing where they need to get more professional training for their inspectors and certification staff at the department.
Thank you. And Sam and Sarah, if you'd like to go next, and I think that I know that we're getting close to 8:30 and we can go for about 10 or so minutes more after 8:30 if people have more questions and comments. But Sam and Sarah, if you want to go ahead, please.
Just one thing that I thought of while I was listening a little bit, and when Mr. Bixby introduces his bill, another thing that Ben Dabrowski mentioned was, he said, oh, it's another thing that's happening to us as farmers this year. And the relationship that Dave Trumbull referred to between the farmers and the state right now, as a stress reducer for farmers and as business owners, and there are 66 businesses here that are being certified from the state. Right now, today, we know the names of our certifiers. We've been working with this same program for over 30 years. There's familiarity there. And with that comes a reduced amount of stress for our business, because again, we know the names, we know the faces and the phone numbers. And then on top of it, we saw flooding across the state worse than we've ever seen. There's been crop failures all across the state this year due to the high rains. And so if we're talking about what to do with this state-run certification program, I would just say that right now, these farms and these businesses are experiencing environmental stress, business stress, and it doesn't seem like it's the right time, and it doesn't seem like there's a place for these farmers to fall or for these farmers to go right now. And it seems like it would be a responsible and a reasonable thing for the state of New Hampshire to do, to continue this program to help these businesses. And to, again, if the state helps reduce our stress and keeps us in this program, then hopefully through some of those ways that I mentioned before, we can help reduce the state's stress by offering space and availability and creative ideas to help mend some of these problems that we see in New Hampshire. And another thing, Mr. Bixby, that was mentioned to me, a crisis that the state sees now is young people moving to the state of New Hampshire. And how do we attract young people to the state of New Hampshire? There's a great nonprofit called the KCLT Land Trust that just recently acquired a piece of property. They renovated a whole old farmhouse and barn, and they put 4 farm workers in that barn and in that farmhouse that are currently working on local farms in the area. And if we want to attract young, motivated people to the state of New Hampshire, then offer them a place to live and offer them some land to work and land to farm on, and they will come. So just a few points when introducing your bill. Now is not the time, and we can attract young people through farming. Thank you.
Thank you. Were there other comments from farmers? I don't see any more hands right now, so I want to make sure that everyone who wanted to has a chance to speak before answering any other questions from the chat. Thank you, Kyle.
I just wanted to say one quick thing, just because it's so relevant to right now. I'm got an order from a local harvest CSA tonight, and that is directly due to me being a certified organic producer. It's a huge part of my business, and doing it through the state is obviously so crucial. Just right now, I can feel just how important this is for me as a business owner, as a farmer, and obviously how important it is to everyone here. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Joyce, did you want to say something? You're unmuted.
Yeah, I think I do. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the satellite office option, because we are exploring with another regional certifier at this point in time. We just had a meeting last week to just kind of explore, are they open to that? And they are open to it. And it would mean that you would have, you know, NOFA, you would have, I mean, NOFA New Hampshire would probably have to create an LLC in order to do this, because NOFA New Hampshire does educational programming, and you can't, to do certification work, you can't both do educational and certification in the same organization. And that's one of the reasons why NOFA Vermont and MOFGA formed their certification agencies. MOFGA Certification Services and Vermont Organic Farmers are the certification bodies formed by the NOFA organizations in those states. So as a satellite office, if NOFA New Hampshire was involved, we would have to also create, which I was provisionally calling New Hampshire Organic, and that office could be responsible for sending out applications, doing that initial review of applications, being available to answer questions, assigning inspectors, and just helping the, you know, locally any New Hampshire farmers that are being certified. And also we were in conversation with the idea of any of those farms being able to have like a New Hampshire organic logo that would identify that farm as being certified. You know, it'd be maybe certified by that regional certifier, and you'd have to have that on the label also, but you could also use a New Hampshire organic logo label as well, so that you could be identified, you know, in New Hampshire as a New Hampshire farmer. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about that, or you know, we can answer that by email too, questions.
Thank you. Dan, did you have a question or no? Oh, you're on. I'm going to ask you to unmute again. I just pressed the button. There you go.
I think that all of these options are there, but the department has said that they would work with us. They worked with us when we had to give up the producers thing. I think this is an opportunity to come together, to stay together, and get what we want. And I understand, Joyce, you've worked hard on that, but I really want to put the effort, what Sam Bauer just said. and other people,
Absolutely.
that it's absolutely part of the fabric of New Hampshire. Imagine all of those fields that are grown up with trees and housing developments, etc. Just think about that, and let's fight for what we got here and move it through the legislature. Peter Bixby and I and Sherry Gould will do what we can, but this is a program that we can't lose.
Thank you. And I'm sorry. Did I cut you off?
No.
Good. I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you, Joyce, also. And these three options that we identified with the Department of Ag that have been discussed and that have also been in that joint statement that we put out are to help ensure that farmers can maintain their certification services. So the reason why we wanted to have this meeting with you all tonight is so that you could talk together, so you could share your feedback and opinions, and those options are there to help support you all through this process. So I just wanted to emphasize that. And I think Peter, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on how impressed I am with the strength of the community that I'm seeing on this call, and the strength of support for the department and what the department has provided for this community. And I really hope that we can all work together to make this a successful venture in making the, making the department once again a very strong supporter for organic agriculture in the state, and remain the worthy of the trust of everyone has expressed in them. So thank you very much for all you're putting into this and for what you're going to be putting into it in the next few months.
Thank you. And Kate, I saw you, I think you put a question in the chat for Joyce, and then if there's no more questions, we can conclude our meeting. I know everyone's been working hard today, and thank you for staying a few minutes extra. Did you see that question, Joyce, or do you need me to read it?
Please read it.
It was, would the satellite office pursue processing and livestock from the start? That was the question.
Yeah, well, it could definitely include processing and livestock, yes. Because that accredited certification agency that we would be working with also is accredited for those scopes. So maple syrup, wild crops, all of those scopes would be included.
Thank you. Do you have a question, Kate?
Yes, so I was wondering, well, what if both what if DAMP would certify the vegetables, and then NOFA does the satellite office for livestock and processing? I mean, is that another option that could be pursued? Because, so many of us need multiple certifications.
You want me to respond? I mean, anything is possible at this stage. We can put it into the mix of the conversations. I just want to assure farmers that, I was a certified organic farmer in Minnesota for 35 years, and I moved here about 3 years ago. I am totally dedicated to supporting, the directions that you guys are expressing here tonight. And I want to assist that in any way I can. I just happen to be an organic certification expert, and I joined the NOFA board this last winter. So I support everything here, and I just really appreciated hearing all of the dedication that you have towards being an organic farmer, because that's who I am as well.
Thank you. Julie, I want to give an opportunity for you to say anything before I give some just closing, tying up the bow on this call. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yeah, I guess I want to echo my thoughts earlier. I think this is not only an opportunity to support organic services in the state of New Hampshire, or whichever direction the farmers want, but also stress the importance and value, as Sam and everyone else has echoed here earlier, beyond just the certification services. This is about so much more than that. So I thank everyone for their time and comments tonight. And I hope that this will lead to more growth in support of the organic community and growing in the state of New Hampshire.
Thank you. And I also want to say that we value all of you and all of your voices in this and your perspectives. And thank you so much for being here and joining us for this important community discussion. We're really grateful to have been asked to host this second session. And your feedback is very important to us and is going to be critical moving forward. As we said in the previous call, this is not the first or second or only time that we'll talk about this. We have more time to have these conversations together and continue to support the community in the direction that you're looking for. And we really value you sharing that with us tonight. If you do have any additional comments or questions that weren't addressed tonight, please feel welcome to email or call us. I hope you have our contact information, knowing that you're here. And also, if you haven't filled out that stakeholder survey, if you could do that, we would be grateful for your participation in that as well. And we hope you found this session valuable and that you all have a great night. And thanks for staying with us a little bit longer.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thank you.